This is Richard Flax at MoneyFarm, talking about some of the things that have caught our attention over the past few days. Perhaps the most interesting thing for us this week has been the announcement of an antitrust lawsuit by the Department of Justice in the United States against Google. It comes at a time when the regulatory focus, both in the US and Europe, on some of these very large tech companies has increased. And there is the possibility, particularly perhaps if we see Democrats take control of the White House and possibly Congress as well, that we may see some real action against some of these tech companies in the future. Our starting thought is that even if we do see Democrats in office, it'll take a long time to actually see any meaningful action take place. And it's not at all clear that the tech companies will suffer as a result. We can look back to the experience that Microsoft had in the late 90s and early 2000s, where actually there was a judgment against Microsoft to break it up that was subsequently reversed on appeal. And even if Microsoft may have changed its behavior as a result of some of this investigations, it's fair to say, given its subsequent performance, that the company has performed very well and really flourished. So antitrust is something to be aware of as regards some of these big tech companies, but is by no means a sign that they are going to be in any sort of difficulty. Certainly not in the near future, and perhaps not even in the longer term as well. Elsewhere, it's been a slightly more familiar refrain. Unfortunately, we've seen COVID cases increase, particularly in Europe, and we're seeing the number of restrictions increase as a result. From an economic perspective, as we've said before, this is likely to slow down the pace of the recovery, and we've already seen in the UK, the Chancellor has come out with additional measures to try and support the labour market, which I'm sure is something that he hoped he would not have to do a couple of months ago. Elsewhere, in the US again, we see ongoing negotiations about a fiscal stimulus. And here what's interesting is that the Senate Republicans are likely to be an important player in this final conversation. It seems that there's some progress being made between the White House and the Democrats in the House of Representatives. But the Senate Republicans are really quite unsure as to whether this is a measure that they would want to pass if indeed it gets to them. From the Democrats' perspective, the idea of Republicans rejecting a stimulus package might look quite good on the headlines, but from an economic perspective and a market's perspective, we'd probably rather see a stimulus package passed sooner rather than later, which is something we think financial markets would take relatively positively. So, thank you very much for joining us, and look forward to speaking to you again soon.